What's the worst neighbor from hell behavior you've witnessed? Cop here. I went to a disturbance call where two neighbors were blowing leaves at each other with leaf blowers. They were actually mad while doing this. I picture Squidward here. Leaf blowers are meant for fun. My neighbor cut the cable with her garden shears. I presume an argument over the bill. She wouldn't let the cable company in to repair it, so they had to bypass her house. My house and about 6 others had no TV, phone or internet for 8 days. That sounds fucking illegal? Things can be illegal. And things can take a certain amount of effort to be resolved. If the penalty does not match the effort, they will not be resolved. Utilities don't like homeowners even touching the boot. Everything before that is theirs. In my area they would immediately press charges. 10 Chihuahuas. Ever consider taking up falconry? Looked out of my window to see my neighbor leaning over my 6 feet high fence, and stretching right into my yard to saw some of the main branches off my tree. My tree had never extended over the fence and her limb hacking killed it. A few months later, she cut one of the wires attached to our boundary fence that was holding up a shade cloth in my backyard. I called the cops on her. And a couple of weeks later, all the plants along our boundary fence mysteriously died, and seriously damaged some of my trees. And I still have no idea what her problem is. Plant mulberry trees. Those things are unkillable and grow rapidly. And they attract birds who will eat the fruits and shit everywhere. As the trees grow, wrap them with fiberglass mat. A chainsaw really doesn't like glass fibers. Or chain mail. Touch it once. Instant frag grenade. Plus, trees wearing chainmail are metal as fuck. My neighbor. Crazy old bitch. 1 week after buying my house asked me to remove the pile of roofing shingles from the corner of my lot. She asked nice enough. However, I informed her that I had an entire kitchen to install. A bathroom to put in-house was stripped when I bought it and floors that needed redone. I only worked on the house maybe 3 to 4 hours a day after work. So the shingles weren't too high on my priority list, but I was obtaining a roll-off dumpster next week and that I'd clean them up when I got the dumpster. Seriously. Where would I put a house worth of used shingles without a dumpster? Somewhere else in my yard? About 3 days go by and she comes over and orders me to remove the shingles from my property corner, still about 10 feet away from her property. Because her dog is eating the shingles and getting sick. Her dog weighs literally 2 pounds and is named Little Bit. I said, well, while we're having this discussion of your dog eating shingles on my property, I can fix this for you. Keep your dog off of my lawn. For the safety of your dog. I have a 90-pound dog I am bringing when I move in and I don't want your dog to get hurt. She called the police on me. I informed the officers of the dumpster coming in a few days. They asked me to hurry it up. I had to tell them that you can't hurry up a waste management company dropping off a roll-off at a residence, as contractors tend to get priority. So he was fine with it. That was enough of that. That isn't all of it. After 2 years of living here, she moved her fire ring most of the way onto my property. Still having the snowplow blade on my Cub Cadet. I pushed it back over into her yard. It was made out of neatly stacked bricks. It became a sloppy pile of bricks and ash when I was done pushing. She got hostile over that as well. Called the police. I called a surveyor friend of a friend over and he came over right away with detailed information about my property. Officer told her to not put anything on my property again and to let me just do my own thing to avoid future confrontation. And the latest thing she has done. 2 weeks ago I planted some nice evergreens about 8 foot off my property line. 2 rows of them. Mostly to block off the view of her house and to add to the appearance of my property. I am saving money for more trees to transplant onto the back of my property line in much the same fashion, but I don't have the holes dug quite yet. So just the 2 rows of trees on my property between me and my troubled neighbor. I come home from work on Thursday and she had called a tree cutting business and said that the property was hers and that her grandson had planted the trees without her permission while she was in the hospital and she wanted them removed. They destroyed my yard and removed all 14 trees. I asked my buddy across the street WTF happened and he gave me the company name. I found said company. They apologized and since the trees were small, they kept them. So they have given me back the trees. The owner of the company is coming out today to help me put them back in himself. Good company. Probably suing the neighbor over this one. Edit. Fuck, this blew up. I was too retarded to check. Been in and out of court. Mostly for being rear-ended back on Mother's Day, but also one court hearing that got cancelled that was for my case against my bitch neighbor. I think I should be able to sue over someone naming a dog little bit, but whatever. But I replied and I have updated to what people asked. So you don't have to sift through the replies. Basically the bitch had a heart attack a few days after all of her tree removal bullshit happened. She's off to a nursing home. Her druggy family is evidently not moving in. The grandson or whoever it was that told me about the heart attack and nursing home and about how she has no money and is living off family is, I guess, moving in. He seems cool. He drives a newer 5 Series BMW, so he must not be hurting too bad. Will be nice to have someone other than me in the neighborhood with BMWs. I'd file a police report as well. You might be able to get an order of protection to keep her from your property. But maybe you should consider a fence. Make sure you keep the names of everyone you spoke to at the tree company. Agreed. Document everything and get police reports so it's all on record. Used to have a neighbor that put their extra bags of garbage out next to mine. This might not seem like such a big deal, but it was nearly every week. And our municipality had a 2-bag limit. If you had extra bags, you had to put a sticker on them purchasable for a mere 25 cents or they would not be picked up. So, every week, I would go out after putting my 2 cans out the night before and find that there were extra bags of someone else's garbage left behind. It took a long time to determine who the guilty party was. And a couple of extra bags each week added up. I would put on my rubber gloves, open the mystery bags, and sift through them, trying to find identifying information. It was very frustrating, because every week, there was nothing. I knew that the culprits had kids, because there were always dirty diapers. I knew that they were disgusting, lazy sons of bitches, because every bag was full of styrofoam plates and plastic cutlery, which they apparently found more convenient than washing dishes, hence their production of surplus waste every week. This went on for a ridiculously long time. I would sift through their bags, be disappointed, rebag their garbage, and then grudgingly store it in my garage, with the only other option being to pay for surplus stickers to take it away. Happily, we didn't have a car, so there was lots of space in the garage. Then, one fine August day, it happened. A bill was in the garbage. A bill with an address on it, writ large. Finally, I knew the household which was responsible for all the extra garbage. The cheapskates that could not find it in their budgets to affix the mere 25-cent stickers for their surplus waste, and instead sneakily put it out in their neighbors' yards. They were 3 doors down, and across the alley. I waited for their van to be gone, and then went over to their gate, opened it, and placed all their garbage carefully back in their driveway. Since fair is fair, and I was already obliged to handle their garbage and rebag it, I emptied it all out and took my bags back, leaving their 6 months extra garbage in a heap in their driveway. I don't think they ever worked out who had their revenge on them, since it was pretty clear that they were leaving extra bags for everyone who shared an alley with them, but that was the end of their illegal dumping. It does give me some satisfaction to know that, even if I had to handle and rebag their garbage when it was fresh, they had to rebag it after it had been fermenting for months in my non-climate controlled garage. Pricks. I'm shocked you didn't simply stay up one night before garbage day and watch like a hawk. It's what I'd do. Seems a lot easier and less messy than your method. We live near a protected area for endangered animals. One of the animals that the sanctuary is meant to protect is bald eagles. Since we live next to a field, it's pretty common for an eagle to sit on our porch and disembowel its rabbit for dinner. We have a neighbor that keeps calling the cops on us because the bird is on our property and claims it is traumatizing his innocent children. He treats us like we're the ones murdering fluffy bunnies for our own amusement. Edit 1. You are correct. Bald eagles were removed from the endangered species list in 2007. However, the land was purchased to protect the eagles and other species when they were in more dire straits. You might find it interesting to know that our bald eagle is a bachelor. His mate was hit by a car. A very hefty fine was involved for the unfortunate soul, and for some reason he never remated. Edit 2. The police do not respond personally, but they do contact the local chapter of animal control to have them remove the bird, and several government agencies to report its behavior. It would be illegal for us to in any way entice the bird to come close, or collect feathers or something. And it is extremely unusual, both in that it shows no fear of humans, at least on our property, and because it isn't sticking to its normal diet. Eagles are primarily fish and carrion eaters. And with lots of both available, I suspect that they are telling people that we are baiting the eagle with fresh rabbit carcasses instead of what's actually happening, which is the bird eating an unusual amount of fresh meat and being too lazy to fly very far with it. So, while it would be pointless to repeatedly call the police put our neighbors in touch with people who make us jump through bureaucratic hoops to prove we're not doing anything illegal to our national bird. How fucking dare that eagle do what eagles do? Also, isn't it illegal for you to interfere with an endangered species? I don't know if this extends to one being on your personal property. I don't think a smart person is going to mess with the eagle when it is eating. Talon's brother.